You girls have it made, I blurted, half laughing, half serious. All you have to do is show up, look good, and wait for some guy to come chasing after you. We foot the bill, and you get all the perks without lifting a finger. Tina shot me a withering look, crossing her arms like she was ready to brawl. Listen, you oversized caveman, I work 6 days a week just to have a little spending money. If I go out, I pay my way sometimes more than that. Don't assume we're all freeloaders. I scoffed. Sure, maybe you. But come on, not many girls have to hustle like that. You still have it easier than we do. That's when the trap snapped shut. Tina, my sister Ashley, and Chloe leaned their heads together like witches over a cauldron, whispering, smirking, plotting. When they turned back to me, I felt that prickle of doom crawl up my spine. Ashley stepped forward, arms folded. Okay, since you're so convinced we have it easy, let's test your theory. There's a game this weekend. If we win, we each give you $100, 300 total. Tina grinned. But if we lose, you take my job for a full month. As a girl, that means the uniform, the name tag, everything. You work it just like I do. Tips and pay go to me, naturally. I should have walked away right there, but nobody's ever accused me of being the brightest bulb in the hallway. Our team was on fire that season. Undefeated. We were ranked third. The girls' team, dead last, not a single win. This was as close to free money as I was ever going to get. Right as I was about to shake on it, Brad wandered over. My best friend, my backup brain, my occasional bad influence. I ran the bet by him. He didn't even hesitate. Dude, it's a lock. No way they win. And just like that, I agreed. Ashley repeated the terms, slowly, making sure I got every humiliating word. I nodded, signed my pride away with a stupid smirk on my face. By morning, half the school knew. By lunch, the entire school knew. The rumor mill chewed it up and spat it back out with flair. Girls giggled, guys jeered, and I soaked it up like a legend in the making. Even teachers caught wind of it, some were amused, others skeptical. But one of them. She wanted to sweeten the deal. If the boys win, she offered in front of the whole class, you'll get a bump in your grade, enough to push you into the top 10%. I was already grinning. But if they lose, she added, raising an eyebrow, you'll have to come to school as a girl too, for the entire month. The class exploded in laughter. I didn't even blink. Sure, I said, riding the high. Why not? It's not like we're gonna lose. Let me paint you a picture. I'm 17, 5'7", about 140 pounds, with auburn hair that picks up blonde streaks in the sun and green eyes that get compliments from girls more than I care to admit. Pretty average guy, but cocky enough to act like I owned the place. Brad, always at my side, had this infuriating habit of telling me I'd make a foxy chick with the right makeup. I'd laugh it off, but a small part of me always wanted to slug him. When Mom found out thanks, Ashley, she didn't scold me. No, she just sipped her coffee and said, if you lose, I'll help you transform. It'll be fun. A month's not so long. Dad couldn't stop laughing. You, in a dress? Hilarious. But hey, no way you lose, right? Then Mom leaned in with that mom smile that knows too much. Honestly, sweetheart, I think you'd be quite pretty. You look more like me than Ashley does. Same nose, same chin, same coloring. This might be easier than you think. I waved it off, still full of myself. We're not going to lose, Mom. We'll see, won't we? And that was it. Bet placed. Ego inflated. Consequences ignored. I went to bed smug, already counting the cash I'd win. The next morning, I strutted into school and nearly tripped over my own ego. My locker had been repainted bright pink. Hanging from the lock was a lacy white bra, still in the package, a little bow tied around the tag. The hall erupted in laughter. I rolled my eyes, shoved the bra into my locker, and headed to class. Let them laugh. We were going to win, I was sure of it. The guys on the team kept pounding their chests, slapping me on the back, telling me the game was in the bag. It was exactly what I wanted to hear. Confidence had bloomed into cockiness, and with just 2 days before the big game, I was strutting the halls like I'd already won. That's when the cheerleaders found me. They cornered me near the vending machines, a triangle of ponytails and glossy lips, and one of them stepped forward with a mischievous grin. "We heard about your little bet. We want in." I crossed my arms, trying not to let my smirk falter. "Oh yeah? What do you got?" "If the boys win," she said, "we'll do your homework for the rest of the year. All of us." Tempting. My GPA perked up just thinking about it. "But," she continued, "if you lose, you're one of us. You suit up and become a cheerleader for the rest of the season." I blinked. "Wait, you mean the uniform, the routines, the pom-poms?" "All of it." I hesitated for maybe half a second, but let's be honest, there was no way we were going to lose. I gave them a shrug and a nod. "You're on." Looking back, I probably should have asked why everyone was suddenly so eager to see me in a skirt. Game day arrived with bright skies and roaring fans. I took my usual seat in the stands, adrenaline buzzing through my veins as we rolled over the other team like a tank. Up by 6 going into the fourth, and I was already dreaming about that extra credit and the smell of crisp $100 bills. Then it happened. They intercepted our pass and brought it back to the 5-yard line. One clean lateral, a lightning-fast sprint, and they slammed into the end zone. Tie game. My stomach twisted. Their kicker lined up. I watched the ball rise, arc beautifully and curve just enough to fall inside the upright. 1 point down. 2 minutes left. We got the ball back at the 25, and I sat frozen, barely breathing. Our guy ran hard, but got hit harder. The ball popped loose and spiraled into chaos. The other team pounced. 2 plays later, another field goal. We were down by 4. The seconds bled out as we scrambled, dragging the ball to the 40. A Hail Mary pass, a beautiful spiral, a clean target, and then the receiver bobbled it, dropped. The whistle shrieked, "Game over." I didn't move. I couldn't. All around me, girls pointed and whispered, laughter breaking like waves in every direction. They knew, and so did I. I'd made the bet. I'd signed the terms, and I'd lost. The benches were metal, cold, and unforgiving. I wanted to sink through them, disappear entirely. By the time I got home, Ashley was already there, grinning like the Cheshire Cat with fresh gossip in her claws. Mom didn't bother with sympathy. "Well," she said brightly, "looks like tomorrow we start your transformation." Dad had sat beside me at the game, shaking his head through the final minutes. He didn't say much when we got home, just a quiet, almost smug, "A man sticks to his word." And that was the word. I'd agreed to waitress for a month in full uniform, female presentation, and also attend school the same way. But the other bet, the cheerleader one, that locked me in for the rest of the season. Mom, ever the realist, quickly did the math. "With all the afternoon games," she said casually, "there's really no time to change back and forth between boy and girl. It might just be easier to stay as a girl until the end of the year." I stammered. "What? That wasn't the no. That's not what we—" She just shrugged. "Maybe. We'll see." The next morning, all 3 girls showed up early, excitement bubbling on their faces. Tina brought one of her uniforms for me to try on. But Mom pulled me straight into her room with firm instructions that no one else was allowed near. Apparently, this wasn't just about slipping into a skirt and calling it a day. I thought I could just throw the clothes on and be done with it. Mom had other plans. "You want to look like a joke?" she asked, raising an eyebrow as she held up a pink waitress dress. "Because if you half-ass this, that's exactly how people will see you. And trust me, you'll regret it." Then she handed me a towel and pointed to the bathroom. I stripped down, heart racing, and came back still damp. That's when she slathered a cold cream across my arms, legs, chest, everywhere. "It'll take off all the hair," she said matter-of-factly, already applying it in broad strokes. And just like that, there was no turning back. After scrubbing the last of the cream from my skin and rinsing the stubble from my jawline, I wrapped a towel around myself and stepped gingerly back into Mom's room. The air smelled like lavender lotion and warm metal from the curling iron. She was waiting for me, a soft, unreadable expression on her face, and a pair of pink panties dangling from her fingers. My stomach dropped. "You're kidding," I muttered. Her eyebrows barely lifted. "Not in the slightest. Now come on." The fabric felt impossibly light and small in my hands. I hesitated, feeling like a creep just for holding them. But she didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't give me a choice. So I stepped into them, one leg at a time. They fit snugly, didn't hide much, and clung to me like a secret I couldn't untell. Next came the pantyhose. She showed me how to bunch them up, slide them over my toes, and up my freshly hairless legs. I'd expected discomfort, but instead, a soft, shivery thrill ran through me as the slick nylon whispered across my skin. After I got them up to my waist, she handed me a firm panty brief and helped me position folded wash rags on either side of my hips. "Instant curves," she said with a little smirk. My damp hair hung over my eyes as she gestured toward her vanity chair. "Time to learn," she said, setting out makeup like a surgeon prepping for operation. She didn't do a single stroke for me, only pointed, explained, corrected when needed. Foundation first, then a light powder to even everything out. She guided me through layering soft blue eyeshadow with gray tones and lilac shimmer. It was surreal, watching my own face shift and evolve under the brush. The hardest part was eyeliner. My hand trembled, but I managed to trace a clean line. Then came the black pencil to outline my eyes, giving them definition I'd never seen in my reflection before. By the time I put the mascara down, I didn't recognize myself. The face staring back at me was delicate, expressive, feminine. It terrified me how believable it was. Mom didn't seem surprised at all. She just smiled, pleased. Then she took the curling iron and started working on my hair. With each gentle curl, each twist and pin, I watched her shape my usual mop into something soft and styled. My jawline softened. My eyes popped. By the time she was done, I had the face of a girl who wouldn't raise an eyebrow in a high school hallway. But she wasn't finished. She wrapped a bra around me, fastened it in front, and adjusted the cups. With practiced ease, she used foam shoulder pads to give me subtle, rounded breasts. Then came the waist nipper, a tug here, a zip there, and suddenly I had a slim 26-inch waist. The slip she handed me was white, short, edged with lace that barely touched my thighs. She helped me into a dark green sheath dress she'd pulled from Ashley's closet. It clung in all the right places, ending mid-thigh, maybe higher. The V-neck and sleeveless cut gave me a lithe silhouette. There was no trace of boy left in that mirror. Without a word, she took a small pin and pierced one of my ears. I flinched, but before I could complain, she slipped in a large gold hoop, then matched it on the other side. A thin gold chain settled around my neck. Then came the shoes' black heels, tall enough to demand attention. I stepped into them, unsteady, and she turned me toward the full-length mirror. And there I was. Not some guy in a dress, not even a parody of a girl, just a girl, a pretty one. My chest tightened. My throat felt too small. "Shall we go?" Mom asked. I stared at her in the mirror. "Mom, do I really have to do this? Look at me." "I am," she said softly. "And you're beautiful. You should be proud." They'll think you're pretty," she interrupted. "And maybe you are. But you don't have to use your real name when you're like this. Want to pick one?" I swallowed hard. "Samantha," I whispered. It was random. It felt safe. She nodded like it had always been my name. Then she reached for my hand, and we walked toward the door together. My heels clicked on the hardwood like the drum roll before an execution. I felt like I was marching toward my own doom, but worse than that, I couldn't ignore the small, trembling thrill beneath the shame. I didn't look like a clown. I looked too damn good. We entered the family room, and all heads snapped toward me. The girls gasped audibly. My dad made a strangled sound, something between surprise and denial. Mom just beamed. Everyone, she announced. This is Samantha. I stood frozen, heart hammering against my ribs, resisting the urge to run. Tina stepped forward, the one whose job I was meant to do. She circled me slowly, her eyes taking in every detail, head to toe. Then she laughed, not mockingly, but in delight. Oh, wow. I'll be swimming in tips. You look incredible. Megan's going to flip when she sees you. She'll probably not even want you on the cheer squad. Tina laughed, but not cruelly, more like someone who just realized they were dealing with real competition. It landed somewhere between a compliment and a threat. All I could do was stand there, stiff in those heels, my heart rattling like a loose screw in my chest. Every instinct screamed at me to bolt run upstairs, rip off the dress, and pretend none of this had ever happened. But Dad had made it crystal clear. I'd given my word, and I was going to honor it, no matter how miserable I looked or didn't. So I stayed rooted to the floor, blinking behind long lashes I hadn't even known I had until today. Ashley, who'd been riding the wave of smug satisfaction for days, wasn't smiling anymore. Seeing me like this had deflated her, maybe because I didn't look like a joke. Chloe and Tina studied me like I was a new species, half curious, half impressed. They wanted to take me out to a burger place or somewhere equally public, but Mom shut that idea down immediately. Not yet, she said. Her debut isn't until Monday. And besides, she needs her own things. The girls nodded in understanding. I didn't. At all. After they left, Mom clarified. We don't share underwear, Samantha. You need your own. A few panties, 2 bras, and if we can find one, a padded panty brief so we can retire the wash rags. And a handbag. You'll need that too. I stared at her like she was announcing a space launch. Now? There's no time like the present, she said, already on her way out of the room. She came back with a small black purse, handed it to me like it was a gift and an anchor at once, and nodded toward the front door. I followed her. Of course I did. There wasn't going to be a vote. Stepping outside was like walking onto a stage with no script. I moved fast, ducked into the passenger seat, and sat silently while Mom giggled beside me. Oh, stop looking like someone died, she said. You look absolutely delicious. Nobody's going to suspect a thing unless you open your mouth and start shouting about football. Just walk with purpose, follow my lead, keep your hands soft, and act like you belong. You'll be fine. I didn't answer. I didn't trust myself to. This might go on a while, Samantha. Better get comfortable. Who knows? She teased. You might end up liking it. Wrong. Completely wrong. I didn't like any of it, except maybe that I didn't hate it. At the mall, I had to force myself out of the car. Every step toward the entrance felt like I was wading through cement. My shoulders hunched, my eyes darted, my hands clutched the little purse like it might explode. Mom noticed, of course. She slipped her arm through mine and pulled me forward with a quiet grace that I tried and failed to mimic. Her heels clicked confidently. Mine wobbled. First stop, lingerie. She picked out panties and bras with the decisiveness of a general ordering troops into battle. She didn't ask my opinion, and I didn't give one. Then came shoes flats for school, soft-soled sneakers for cheerleading, low heels for work. The salesman didn't blink when I tried them on, though I caught him sneaking a glance up my dress more than once. After that, we hit a makeup store. The attendant smiled too wide, but worked fast, redoing my face like I was her personal project. When she spun the mirror toward me, I felt a jolt. I looked polished. Real. Not a single shadow of my old self left. I looked like I belonged on a magazine page. Mom was thrilled. I was quiet, but she wasn't done yet. We stopped at a dress boutique where she picked out 2 dresses and 2 skirts with matching blouses. Each one screamed, "Girl!" in a slightly different tone. I barely registered them. I was still stuck on my reflection from the makeup chair. Then she took me to a specialty shop, Cindy's. That's where things got serious. We bought a padded panty brief, but also breast forms. She insisted I try them on, dragging me into the changing room like it was totally normal. You can't wear foam forever, she said. These are shaped for you. They'll move like real ones. I wanted to disappear into the tile floor. But when I looked in the mirror with them on, nestled inside a bra that actually fit, I couldn't deny it. They looked real. By the time we got home, something strange had happened. I'd stopped flinching at every glance. I wasn't exactly strutting through the mall, but I wasn't hiding behind every potted plant either. I didn't feel normal, but I also didn't feel like a fraud. Not completely. Dad wasn't home, thank God. I thought I'd get to peel it all off, slide back into jeans, and breathe again. I was half right. I got to change, but not back into my old self. Mom wasn't letting me off the hook. After we got home from the mall, she laid out both of the new dresses and skirts, like I was prepping for a fashion shoot. Try them all on, she said, already unzipping the green sheath dress for me. We need to see what works best. I trudged to my room, slipped into the first dress, and nearly passed out when I caught sight of myself in the mirror. The V-neck was way deeper than I remembered, and the soft rise of my new breasts, thanks to those freshly fitted forms pushed against the bra in a way that made me look real. A little too real. I zipped it up all the way, took a shaky breath, and walked back out into the family room. And there they were. Dad, Ashley, Tina, Mom, all seated like they were judging a runway show, their eyes glued to me. Nobody spoke at first. The silence buzzed. Then, gathering what little composure I had, I struck a ridiculous little pose and gave a half-hearted twirl, trying to lean into the absurdity of it all. Tina stood, holding up a plastic shopping bag like it was a gift from the gods. I cleared it with my boss, Samantha. Told him you were filling in for me while I'm out, but I didn't say you're a guy. Honestly? You look too good. He wouldn't believe me anyway. She handed me the bag. Inside were 4 waitress uniforms, all in my new size. Here's my schedule. Just follow that. Girl, you look hot. See you at school tomorrow. And with that, she bounced out the door, leaving me gripping the bag and trying to ignore the cold, heavy knot sinking into my gut. Mom, of course, decided I might as well stay dressed for the rest of the day. No sense wasting the effort. That night, she laid out what I'd wear to school the next morning, because yes, my debut wasn't just at the restaurant. A pale blouse, short pleated skirt, pantyhose, white ankle socks, and sensible flats. The picture of modest femininity. With the outfit folded neatly at the foot of my bed, she tossed me a nylon nightgown and told me to get some sleep. I didn't. Not really. I drifted in and out of uneasy dreams, guys teasing me, guys hitting on me. The weirdest part? In some of the dreams, I wasn't running away. In the morning, Mom helped me get ready again. It didn't take as long this time. I remembered the steps. The eyeliner didn't come out crooked. I even managed to brush out the curls into something soft and bouncy. But the skirt, it was shorter than I remembered, showing off way more leg than I was used to. The pantyhose clung like a second skin. She handed me my purse, now stocked with a wallet, lipstick, a tiny bottle of perfume, and a pack of tissues, and reminded me not to forget it. I drove myself to school. Every stoplight felt like a stage light. Every car at the intersection felt like it was watching me. When I finally pulled into the parking lot, my pulse was in my throat. But when I walked inside, nothing. No screaming, no pointing, no laughter. I slipped into the hallway like fog and made it all the way to first period. Not a single person gave me a second glance until I took my usual seat. That triggered a few gasps, whispers. All eyes swiveled toward me, just as the teacher strolled in with her attendance list. When she reached my name, I braced myself for the wrong one, but she never hesitated. Samantha? Here, I said softly, and she moved on. My stomach twisted. Someone, definitely Mom, must have called ahead, prepared the staff, made it all seem seamless. Too seamless. I caught looks. Quiet ones. Curious ones. But nobody dared say anything in class. The hallways, however, were a different story. As I turned the corner on the way to second period, Brad was there, eyes wide, jaw slack. "Holy cow," he muttered. "You look like you're beauty, not what I expected." "Try living on this side of it," I snapped, half laughing. "No thanks," he said, still staring. "I'll walk you to class." For a second, I thought he was going to take my hand. He did too. We both flinched and dropped it like it burned. It was awkward, weird, and kind of comforting. The rest of the day blurred by in a cloud of stares. The boys gawked. The girls whispered but didn't laugh. Nobody made fun of me outright, and only Brad spoke to me like I was still me. By lunchtime, I'd found a table near the back of the cafeteria and sank into it, hoping to disappear into my tray. But I wasn't alone for long. Tina and Ashley slid into seats beside me. Tina looked me over with her head tilted. "This isn't going how we planned." I froze. "What do you mean?" "You look too damn good," she said plainly. "We figured you'd chicken out, or look like a joke, or hate it. But instead—" "What?" I asked, wary. "You're pretty," Ashley admitted, not quite meeting my eyes. "Really pretty, and I guess I'm glad you didn't back out." "Not many boys would do it," Tina said softly, and for once, there was no sarcasm in her voice, just something like respect. I didn't know how to answer. No one else had called me pretty except Mom. Brad had tried, but the compliment had died in his throat halfway through. Somehow, though, hearing it from Tina and Ashley made it feel less weird, a little easier. After school, I went home, changed into one of the uniforms Tina had given me, and drove to the restaurant. Donna, the owner, hadn't been clued in. She raised an eyebrow when I introduced myself, but didn't ask questions. She gave me a quick tour, ran through the basics, handed me a notepad, and sent me off with a tray and a list of tables. Let me tell you, waitressing in heels is no joke. By the end of my shift, my legs felt like they'd been steamrolled. If Mom hadn't insisted on those low-heeled cushioned shoes, I might have collapsed in a pile of aching bones behind the counter. Still, $20 in tips wasn't bad for a first night. I drove home, showered, slipped out of Samantha, and back into sweats just long enough to finish my homework. I slept like a rock. The next few days blurred into a pattern school in skirts, work in uniform, home to collapse. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. Then it happened. Jason, a guy I barely knew beyond a few classes, and nods in the hall, caught me outside biology and asked if I wanted to go to the movies with him on Saturday. Just like that, like it was normal. I froze. No words, just wide eyes and a heartbeat that spiked like a fire alarm. Then I turned and fled, muttering something about being late. My next class was with Brad, who was already smirking when I dropped into my seat. "So, Jason finally asked you, huh?" My head snapped toward him. "What, you knew?" He shrugged like it was no big deal. "He asked if I thought you'd say yes. I told him you might chicken out." "But why me, Brad? There are actual girls here. Girls with less complicated situations." Brad gave me a lopsided grin. "Have you looked in the mirror lately? You look more like a girl than half the cheer squad. You even move like one now. The hand gestures, the way you walk, it's not an act anymore." "That's not fair," I muttered, but he wasn't wrong. I'd started mirroring Mom and the girls around me without realizing it. "Look," he said, "I think you should go. It'll piss off Tina and Ashley, especially Ashley. She's been trying to get Jason's attention forever." That part hit differently. I could practically see Ashley's expression if I said yes. So after class, I found Jason near his locker and told him I'd be happy to go. He smiled like he'd won a prize and said he'd pick me up at 7. Now all I had to do was tell Mom. Telling Dad? Out of the question. 0% chance. When I got home from the Friday dinner rush, close to midnight, I barely had the energy to peel off the uniform. I collapsed into bed and slept like I'd been tranquilized. The next morning, I threw on a t-shirt and jeans over my bra and panties and stumbled into the kitchen. Mom was already sipping her coffee, scrolling through something on her phone. She looked up. "So, what are you wearing tonight?" I froze, mid-bite. "What?" "For your date, Samantha. What are you planning to wear?" "How do you even know?" "Ashley," she said. "She's furious. Apparently Jason was her plan B, and she doesn't like being skipped over." "I didn't plan that, Mom. I didn't even know she liked him." "I'm not blaming you, but if you're thinking about backing out, well, that's your call." I frowned. "Maybe I should. Maybe I should just stay home." "You can do that," she said gently. "But then what? 7 months of hiding in your room? Is that how you want to live? Because let's be honest, sweetie boys are going to notice you, whether you like it or not." I sipped my coffee, not answering. "You're beautiful, Samantha. I don't think you realize it yet, but you've stepped into something that's not going away tomorrow. So here's what I think. Let's go to the salon. Get your hair done, nails too. Something manageable, something that makes you feel polished." I opened my mouth to object, but she cut me off. "Let me ask it another way," she said. "Are you Samantha, or are you just a boy in a dress?" That one hit me right in the chest. I hesitated. Too long. Then, quietly, "Yes, I'm Samantha." Mom smiled. "Good. Now go put on your makeup. We've got a busy morning." I'd never been in a salon before. The smells, the sounds, the rows of shiny bottles and cushioned chairs. It was like walking into a foreign country. But Mom handled everything. She spoke to the stylist like this was routine, like I'd been her daughter all along. I was ushered into a chair, my hair washed, conditioned, and trimmed into something neater, sleeker. Then I was moved to a drying station while another woman filed and shaped my nails, giving them a soft, natural curve with a pearly polish. When I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, I was stunned. Not because I looked like a girl, because I looked good. The stylist trimmed my hair shorter than I expected, and for a second, I thought she'd gone too far. But once she tucked me under the dryer and another girl sat me down to work on my nails, I stopped caring. She filed and shaped them longer with rounded ends, then coated them in a soft red polish laced with metallic shimmer. They sparkled every time I moved my hands. When the stylist returned and started brushing out my curls, I felt something shift. She shaped it into a clean, feminine page boy that framed my face just right. It brought out the curve of my cheekbones, softened my jaw, made me look polished, real. The nails only added to its slim fingers, elegant hands. I couldn't deny it anymore. I didn't just look like a girl. In that moment, I felt like one. On the way out, Mom glanced over and smiled like she'd been waiting for that realization. "Since we're already out," she said, "we might as well round out your wardrobe." We went back to shopping like it was a mother-daughter bonding trip. My first purchase? A red and white corselet with matching panties that I picked out myself. After that came 2 more dresses, a blazer skirt suit, and a couple of tops that went with anything. I chose heels in taupe and navy, surprised at how confidently I could now judge heel height and comfort. Even stranger, I liked it. Shopping with Mom, making selections based on what flattered me, what felt fun or flirty, I was enjoying it. A week ago, I didn't know what a hemline was, and now I was weighing them in the mirror. I still chose the shorter skirts, of course, but at least now I understood what kind of message they sent. By the time we got home around 3, I walked right past Dad without saying a word and headed up to my room to put everything away. I missed whatever conversation happened between my parents, but judging from what came later, it didn't go quietly. With a few hours before Jason's arrival, I took my time getting ready. First, a long, luxurious bubble bath, something I never thought I'd like, but now, heaven. Then a shower to rinse, a fresh shave, and my new skincare routine. I pulled on a tan pleated skirt and a soft brown pullover that hugged just enough to highlight the shape of my breasts. Accessories followed: earrings, a watch, a delicate necklace. My taupe heels gave me just the right amount of height. I painted my lips to match my nails metallic red and added a spritz of floral perfume. It was the first time I had gotten ready without any prompting. No checklist, no pressure. Just me, doing what I wanted. When I walked into the family room, Dad looked up and blinked like I'd smacked him with a hairbrush. "Your hair!" he blurted. I touched it lightly, smiling just a little. "You don't like it? They said it suits my face better. Easier to take care of, too." He frowned. "And your nails? How long do those stay on?" "They're acrylic. You agreed to the 7-month deal, remember? So I figured why not do it right?" He stared at me, jaw clenching. "You look like a girl now, damn it." "That's the point, isn't it? You told me to honor my word, and I am. I didn't ask for this to drag on, but since it is, why shouldn't I try to look good? What am I supposed to do, spend 7 months hiding in the house?" Dad was trapped, and we both knew it. He'd laid down the law, and I'd followed it. The fact that I looked too convincing was the real issue, not anything I'd done wrong. When he found out about the date, he practically growled under his breath, but Mom stepped in and shut it down. "She doesn't have to stay home the whole time, you know." That evening, with everything in place, I sat calmly on the couch, waiting. The doorbell rang just after 7, but instead of Jason, it was Rachel. "Hey," she said, brushing her hair back. "Thought I'd swing by. We should talk." I nodded, took her hand, and led her out to the patio where we could talk privately. She cut to the chase. "Some of the cheer squad girls were wondering, are you going to start practicing with us?" I shook my head. "I'd like to, but I'm still working for Tina after school every day for another 2 weeks. My schedule's kind of locked up right now." "We've been talking," Rachel said, her voice calm but firm, "and we've decided not to push the cheerleading thing for now. But if you're not cheering, you'll still need to dress the part. Same rules, same length of time. That way, it's fair." I nodded slowly. Honestly, it made sense. Donna had already offered to keep me on at the diner even after Tina came back, and $200 a week was nothing to sneeze at. I was getting used to the routine, the look, the walk, the whole deal. So I agreed without hesitation. Rachel leaned on the patio railing, watching me. She was gorgeous, smart, confident, exactly the kind of girl who ran things at school without even trying. No wonder she was the head cheerleader. "When Jason told me he asked you out, I wasn't all that shocked," she said casually. "Are you kidding? I was stunned." I laughed nervously. "Your brother's never had trouble getting a date. I figured it was some kind of setup, but then, what else could possibly happen to me at this point? He knows I'm not a real girl. That freaked me out for a while, but what was I going to do? Sit at home every night?" Rachel turned to me fully. "It's not a setup, Samantha. He talks about you nonstop. He says you're beautiful, that you've got killer legs, and he swears you've got the kind of smile that makes people forget their name." I blinked. "No. No way. He can't. He knows. That's insane." "You don't get it," she said gently. "He knows, but it doesn't matter to him. He's buried it so deep in his head, it's like he's forgotten. And you? You've been around all of us for weeks now. Whether you realize it or not, you walk like a girl. You talk like a girl. You look the part, and not just because of the soft curls or those shiny nails. It's how you carry yourself now. And don't even try to tell me you don't like it. You wouldn't have let all of that happen if you didn't like being seen as a girl." She wasn't accusing me, just laying it out, like a truth I hadn't admitted to myself yet. But it hit hard. She wasn't wrong, and that was the problem. I looked down at my hands at the soft red shimmer of my nails catching the sunlight and tried to summon a denial. Any denial. But it stuck in my throat. Rachel smiled, catching my hesitation. "This year's going to be interesting, Samantha. Give it a month, And I doubt most kids will even remember you were ever anything but who you are now, including you. Her words settled over me like a weight. I didn't know how to respond. She stepped closer, voice dropping a little. Just watch yourself around the guys, okay? Especially Jason. When it comes to girls, they've got one thing on their minds. And no, it's not friendship. I flushed. But I'm not. I wouldn't. I mean, come on, Rachel. You know I'm not. There's a lot you can do for a guy without going that far, Samantha. Don't be naive. I stared at her, stunned. Not happening. No way. She laughed softly and let it go. All right. Subject dropped. Hey, a few of us are getting together Sunday at 2 girls only. You in? I'll try, I said, still trying to process everything. She smiled and walked off. I watched her go, heart pounding, wondering if she was right. Had I really changed that much? Had I crossed some invisible line and not even noticed? Because the way she said it, I couldn't help but feel like maybe, just maybe I already had. Would I become so much a girl that everyone would forget the real me? Would I even remember who I used to be? Or would Samantha just stay? I went to my room and stared into the mirror. The reflection wasn't a stranger, not anymore. The waves in my hair framed my face just right. The makeup, the soft curves, none of it screamed boy. Not unless I stripped it all away. And even then, it was getting harder to see him. Dad still didn't love the way I looked, but he'd stopped commenting. Mom, on the other hand, had fully embraced me as her daughter. What if, I wondered, I could make the illusion permanent, real, even? Would it matter? Would that change how I felt? How they felt? The cheer squad had let me off the hook for the heavy routines, but I still had to wear the uniform. 7 months in skirts. Rachel might be right. By the time it ended, maybe no one would even remember I was ever anything else. I glanced back at my reflection and took a breath. If this was going to happen, I might as well own it. Maybe even enjoy it. So I went online. I wasn't prepared for what I found: forums, stories, pictures. Entire communities filled with people like me. Stories about boys who became girls, some by choice, some by accident, some by challenge. A few were ridiculous, sure, but others felt like they were written straight from my own thoughts. I downloaded a few stories, highlighted tips, took notes. Then, I found something else, a site that sold products. Everything from special undergarments to custom-fit breast forms. It was surprisingly legit. And shockingly affordable. No credit card meant I'd have to order the old-fashioned way with a money order, but that was fine. I downloaded the order form, folded it neatly, and slipped it into my purse. I even made a note to visit the art store in the morning. I had plans. Reading one more story that hit way too close to home, I suddenly realized I had a date to get ready for. Jason showed up right on time. Dad was trying hard not to explode, but kept himself polite. Jason walked me out, opened the car door like a gentleman, and drove us to the movies. I wanted to ask him why. Why me? Why now? But if Rachel was right, even he didn't know the answer. He held my hand during the film. That was all. No pressure, nothing creepy. Until we got home. Before I could open the door, he leaned in and kissed me. Soft, hesitant. And I froze. But I didn't pull away. Then I ran inside, heart pounding. Jason had kissed me and I'd let him. And maybe, deep down, part of me had wanted it. That night, I lay in bed, lips still tingling, mind still spinning. What was happening to me? The next morning, Dad just asked if I'd had fun. Mom wanted to know if I had any plans. I said I was going to Rachel's at 2, but had errands to run first. She told me no slacks, so I threw on a skirt and blouse, gym shoes, and hit the art store. Finding the right shade to match my skin was tricky, but after some trial and error and a mirror, I got the numbers I needed. I didn't tell anyone what I was planning. Not yet. I wanted to see how far this could go, and how real I could make it feel. I arrived at Rachel's about 15 minutes early, but she let me in, and we went to her bedroom. About 10 minutes later, two other girls showed up. Haley is a tall, dark-haired girl with a wickedly wonderful smile and a very healthy body. Lauren is about average in looks and build, but her dad has a lot of money, so she always tends to be on the best teams or in the best clubs. I told Samantha what we decided, and she has agreed, which makes her a de facto member of the squad, and I want to let her join us when we have our special outings. Anyone disagree? Does that include the really special outings? Of course, Haley. Why shouldn't she join us? I don't care. I was just asking, that's all. She'll have to get a uniform, Rachel. No, Lauren, she doesn't. Samantha doesn't practice or perform with us. We're just making her part of the squad, like an associate member. They all looked at me, but I didn't have any idea what they were talking about. Rachel explained it to me. Once in a while, we all get together, like a pajama party or a girls' night out. Once we managed to get into that strip club downtown. You interested? If they were asking me to join them, that meant that I had been accepted as a girl. I nodded my head, and they all hugged me. Then we all went to the mall for some therapeutic shopping. By the time I got home, I never felt as feminine as I did right then. Just the way the girls treated me, like I was one of them, had made me realize that I didn't mind being a girl at all. I will admit that the thought of seeing 12 semi-naked girls at a pajama party crossed my mind, but I knew in my heart that before I would ever do that, I would have those items, and it wouldn't make any difference. I would be one of them, a girl. In my room, I filled out the form, and after using a measuring tape, wrote down the before measurements and the hoped-for after sizes. In school, it was like any other day, except that I didn't feel like a pervert, and none of the kids were staring at me now. My friend Brad, however, was staying away, and I didn't know why, because with his big mouth, it could have easily been him that made the bet instead of me. The teachers all used the name Samantha when they referred to me now, and I had been exempted from gym classes for the obvious reasons. The coach even told me that if he let me use the locker room, most of the guys wouldn't be able to do push-ups without hurting themselves. I had to giggle at that. The class they put me in instead was sewing. It was the only opening they had, and I was forced to take it for the credit. Mom thought it was funny, while Dad thought it was stupid. After 3 classes, however, I saw that I could buy clothes that maybe fit well enough, needed to be shorter of taken in a bit, and I could do it. My time filling in for Tina was over on Friday night, and I wasn't scheduled to start working for myself until Monday, so after school, I withdrew the money I needed and sent in my order for the special items. According to the website, it would take about 10 days. That night, I tried on one of my own uniforms, had Mom help me, and made the hem shorter and took it in at the waist. Dad watched me sewing for a bit, then stomped off. I was not his idea of a son any longer, but there wasn't one darn thing I could do about it, and he knew it. That's what got him. Mom told me to ignore him, then, after he had left the room, she sat down and asked me how I felt about dressing as a girl. What should I tell her? You like it, Samantha. That much is obvious. Now the question is, how much? I decided to tell her exactly how much, and told her to wait while I went to get something. I went to my room and took the full color pictures I had printed, out of my dresser, and the 3 stories with the highlighted portions, then returned to her sewing room. Without a word, I showed them to her, let her read the text, and simply waited. Her eyes went first wide, then narrow, and wide again as she looked up at me. And this means? I ordered this, and this, Mom. They should be here sometime next week. But if the panty doesn't fit, I can send it back, and maybe you can do this for me. I pointed to the highlighted text, and she read it. I see. Well, all right. That answers the question of, do you like it? But this says that you can have some sort of sex with this panty. I don't want you to find out if it works, Samantha. Understand? Yes, ma'am. But if that's the case, why not do the other for me? No, I'll let you wear this panty, but no fooling around, and I mean it. Neither Mom nor I told Dad about the items. I went to school on Monday as usual, then went to work. Tina was a bit surprised to see me there and asked me about it. I told her what Rachel had said about my status as a cheerleader and that Donna had asked me to stay on. She also commented on my uniform fitting so well. I simply told her I'd tailored them myself, just for a better fit. She raised an eyebrow but let it go. As we chatted, I could sense her simmering frustration. This hadn't played out the way she'd expected. I hadn't flamed out. Quite the opposite, I looked good. Had her old job now as my own. Could sew circles around her. And Jason had actually asked me out. If life was a game, I'd just scored. Thursday after school, I rushed home hoping the delivery had arrived, and it had. Mom and I went straight to my room, where we spent nearly an hour getting me into the items. But when we finished, I couldn't believe what I saw in the mirror. Two round, perky breasts sat naturally on my chest, and the panty with a built-in vagina and padded hips completely reshaped my figure. I looked unmistakably female from every angle. Everything fit better. My lingerie hugged my curves like it was meant to, and for the first time, I felt the subtle weight of breasts tugging against my chest. With the low-cut bra lifting me into a soft cleavage, something clicked inside me. A feeling of completion. Mom watched as I dressed, eyes catching on the way the new bra fit. "You'll need new bras now," she remarked, her voice calm but firm. So, off we went again to shop. 4 new bras, most unpadded now, because honestly, I didn't need help anymore. A 36x25, 36 figure with a solid B-cup more than enough to make anyone look twice. I even bought a silky black nightgown, semi-sheer with a matching robe, and silently decided it was time to make a statement. After dinner, Mom gave me the nod. I headed to my room and changed. The black thong that came with the set vanished beneath the gown's translucent sweep. Looking in the mirror, I admired how the thin fabric teased the shape of my breasts beneath it. With a smirk, I padded into the family room. Dad looked up and froze. I strolled right past him. "Samantha!" he barked. I turned slowly to face him, letting him take it all in. "What have you done to yourself? You... I look like a girl now, Dad. Isn't that the point? Makes things easier." His eyes darted to my chest. He was so rattled, he didn't even fire back right away. "Fasten that robe and sit down," he snapped finally. "You might have to dress like a girl, but why go that far? You're even talking like one." "I give up!" he shouted, throwing his hands up and retreating to his office. Mom and I exchanged a quiet smile. Message received. Jason asked me out again, and I went. This time, he parked on a quiet street. When he leaned in to kiss me, I didn't move away. We kissed deep, slow, intense, and though nothing happened beyond that, I knew something else had. That night, lying in bed, I wasn't thinking of returning to boyhood. Not anymore. My life as Samantha bloomed. Rachel and the squad embraced me fully, inviting me to every girls' event, including the infamous pajama party. I brought the black baby doll, of course. When we changed, I caught the looks. Curious, cautious, fascinated. I stood there confidently, fully nude for just a second, then slipped into the baby doll with a wink. Let them wonder. When Donna went on vacation, I was left in charge at work. As hostess, I wore my own clothes, made the schedule, and kept Tina happy with prime shifts. We were friends now, genuine ones, and I took care of her like she'd done for me. Dad had more or less made peace with things, but I sealed the deal with one final gesture. The panty kit came with a special packet that simulated a period. One evening, I used it no pad. When he saw the stain, he panicked. I cleaned up calmly, returned with a pad in place, and from then on? Silence. He never brought it up again. Graduation loomed just 2 months away, but the terms of the bet would be fulfilled next week. I didn't plan on going back, not now, not ever. And I doubted anyone would care. Jason's taking me to prom. And this time, I intend to find out if the panty really works as advertised. From an awkward little boy to the young woman I see in the mirror this bet, It turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. And being a waitress? Let's just say I meet the nicest people that way.